Okay, everybody, so I wanted to show you Harley. You'll notice with boa constrictors, it's really insanely hard to get them to sit still. If you're considering a boa constrictor as a pet, be aware that they like to move around a lot. They are good at holding on, because they are constrictors and they like to be in the trees and things like that a lot. So, a lot of times, but she is going to be 2 years old in April. So she's still too young to breed. As you can see, she's still on the smaller side because she's a boa constrictor. She's supposed to be pretty big when she gets full grown. She's really not going to get to her full size until she's between 3 and 4. Or her, mainly her adult size. I mean, they can still grow for a little while, but she can't have any babies until she's a little bit older because they give live birth. They don't lay eggs. So you wouldn't want to try to breed a female boa constrictor too early. You want to, keep in mind their well-being, and you don't want to try and push them or anything like that. But she's a really good girl. We got her after she was already a little bit over a year old, so we haven't had her. We haven't had her since she was a baby. But she's got a fantastic temperament, and as you can see, she loves to go everywhere. She loves to go everywhere. Hard to get her to sit still when I try to film and talk about her, huh? But But yeah, if you're considering a boa constrictor, this is literally one of my favorite snakes. Something to keep in mind though, they do have a high food drive, you can also call it like a good food response, which just means that they'll pretty much eat anytime you try to feed them, like even if they've already eaten. So they're one of those snakes that when you approach the enclosure, you have to just be a little bit careful because their natural instinct is to think that when you approach the enclosure, open the enclosure, that they're going to get something to eat. So you just have to use the snake hook a lot of the times to turn that feed response off. And like I've said before, it's not at all that they're out to get you. It's just that's their natural reaction. They have a good food response. So food is on the brain a lot for them, especially when it gets close to feeding day. They know that, and especially like if you feed your snakes once a week, like a lot of times babies and juveniles, people will feed them once a week. Once they get to like an adult size, between 2 and 3, they'll start doing every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. And they know when it's time to eat. They know about 2 or 3 days before that you're going to feed them soon, and they'll start kind of behaving that way. So you also want to kind of pay attention to that. Which I've done videos on that before too, about the feed response and how to safely handle your snake and knowing how to read body language so that you don't have a mistake happen when you reach into the tank to get your snake out, because they can actually mistake you for food. Some snakes strike first, ask questions later, which means that they have a tendency, depending on their personality and maybe the type of snake they are, that they are just going to strike at anything that moves in front of them. And then once they realize it's not food, they might let go, or it might take them a minute. They might hang on to you for a minute, and you might have to use some different techniques to try and get them to let go. One thing that I will say about snakes like boa constrictors and any type of python or constrictor, they have recurved teeth. So what that means is if they do strike and they hold on, sometimes you'll get tagged and they'll let go, and they'll be like, okay, this is not something to eat, or it may just be a defensive a bite. Usually a defensive bite, they're going to let go right away. They're just warning you and they want you to stay away. But if you get a food response bite and they don't let go, one of the worst things you can do is try to pull back. Like if they grab your hand, one of the worst things you can do is try to jerk your hand back, which I know is hard because it's our natural reaction, right? We want to pull our hand back. But what happens if you do that a lot of the time is their teeth will get damaged and break off. And I know that, when an animal bites you, you're usually not really giving a crap about that animal. You want to get it to let go. But another reason why I wanted to talk about that is because, they can break off in your skin. Their teeth can break off in your skin, and you wouldn't want that. So the other thing that can happen is if their teeth don't break off into your skin, which not all of their teeth would, but you might have a few that would. If you jerk back like that, you're going to tear your skin because these teeth that they have are recurved. They have rows of teeth on the top and the bottom. She looks real sweet and innocent right now, but if she wanted to bite somebody, she could. Luckily, she's very hand tame and she's very used to people. And obviously, she's not hungry right now. But you would do some pretty bad damage to your skin if you tried to pull back like that. So that's something to kind of keep in mind with the boa constrictor. But it's usually, they say it's worse with the boa constrictor and reticulated pythons, constrictors that get on the bigger side like that. But it can also happen with a ball python too. It would be on a smaller scale. But you just want to kind of be mindful of that. You have to just respect the animal, like learn to read your animal's body language, learn to have a relationship and a bond with your animal. This girl right here knows me as a person. I know they say, reptiles and snakes in general can't love you like dogs and cats, and they don't have the capacity, emotional capacity to do that. But they do get comfortable with their owners. They get comfortable with the person that's spending the most time with them. And so that's really, really important. If you really want a snake to trust you, be the one that's handling them every week. Be the one that's getting them out every week. Let them know who you are. Let them understand that you're not a threat, and you're going to have an amazing relationship with that animal. Like I said, she's been an amazing girl. We are so excited for her to get to where she's old enough and big enough to breed. She's a Hypo Harlequin boa constrictor, if you didn't know what her morph was. And she will be paired with Ka, our jungle boa, and we're hoping to get some Hypo Harlequin jungle combos because if you haven't seen them, they're beautiful. And if you go on Morph Market, there's usually not a lot on there. But if you go on Morph Market, you can go and look in their sold category and see some of the Hypo Harlequin jungles that have sold in the past, and they are extremely beautiful snakes. So we're super excited about that. But I just wanted to show you her and kind of like show you how she's doing. Her body condition is amazing. She's getting bigger, but she's not overweight or anything. She's really lean, and we're still feeding her once a week, but we're feeding her like adult mice. We usually, whatever we can get, like adult mice or rat pups, things like that. She has eaten a small rat one time because we did have an adult ball python that did not take their small rat, and we ended up giving it to her. So she can eat small rats, but if we ever have that happen where we do give her a small rat, we don't feed her the next week. We wait, because that is, a pretty big meal to be giving every week. But she's doing fantastic, and like I said, she's one of our favorites, and we can't wait for her to get huge one day. And the crazy thing, and I've said this before about, especially large constrictors, you can't, when they get a certain size, it's not safe to be holding them by yourself. You just need to have another adult in the room in case they squeeze onto you too tight, or God forbid you get a food response bite when maybe you're not doing the right things, or you're not using the snake hook and you try to just stick your hand in there and you're not paying attention. If you got a food response bite and they didn't let go and they wrapped you, you would want another adult there to help you get them off of you safely. So it's not that they are inherently out to hurt you or anything like that. It's always an accident. If a snake bites you, it's always an accident. Remember that. It's not anything to do with they want to eat humans, they want to hurt humans. It's purely you were not reading the snake's body language, and you made the mistake, not the snake. You confused the snake and you caused the snake to feel the need to bite you. So that is my take on all that.